My name's Steve Tighe. I've met at least half of you and know some of you quite well. I was elected to the board of the APF in December, and I'm the representative for the Oceania region. So I'll just share my screen if you like, just to kind of. So I'm based in northern New South Wales, where I've been for almost 15 years now. I've been a part of the Australian foresight community for 20 years. I'm a graduate of the Australian Foresight Institute, which was headed up by Peter Haywood, Joseph Boros when I was there, and that was based out of Swinburne University. So it was a long time ago now. But I'll just share my screen. So in terms of today or tonight in Australia, can you all see the screen that I've got, the PowerPoint on the screen there? Yep, perfect. Okay, so I'll just go through this relatively quickly. So welcome to the Oceania Open House, the first one that I've hosted. It will be a hard finish, so we'll finish in exactly an hour. So welcome to all of you. I appreciate your support. I'll start by giving a very brief presentation, which I delivered to the board in December, which was part of my application process, if you like, about my vision for this region and the APF. We've then allocated breakout rooms for members, for you guys to discuss what do you want from the APF, okay? And then we might just wrap up by getting each breakout group to kind of present what some of the key themes. So I'll talk to you about the whole process. So these are the questions that I'd like people to give some consideration to. And this is what we're really trying to address. So the APF is for its members. And so what we're really aiming for in this region in particular is, how can we deliver greater value, greater perceived value to current members? And I'll talk about why that's important. So that was some of the basic questions. You can bring up any topic you like, but this is really just a guide, if you like, when we do get into the breakout rooms. Okay, so this is the presentation now starting that I delivered to the board in December. Thinking global, acting local, a bit of a cliche there, but really the essence was, how do we grow the APF in this region? So I guess the goal is here that it should aspire or needs to aspire for sustainable year-on-year growth. And I make the point there that an obvious threat to the APF is that membership turnover remains, if it does remain at existing levels, then the organisation will not achieve sustainable growth and therefore remain a minor organisation. So let me just give you a couple of basic facts. I worked on a project last year, which was looking at member value. And in broad terms, there's about 400 members globally, so quite a small organisation. And each year, you're gaining 60 people at one end and you're losing 60 at the other end. Okay, so over the course of the 20 years, it's remained small. And if that trend continues, it will continue to be small, a very periphery organisation. So for me, you say, well, why is an organisation, A, it's small, therefore it's not effective at kind of attracting and maintaining its members? Why is the turnover so high? So for me, it came down to the perceived value that members are receiving isn't there at the moment, okay? So one of the outcomes, or one of the things that I presented is the role of a director, providing greater regional presence. And as you know, the APF is born out of North America. Is kind of where it's born out of, its foundation, but its aim now is very much global. So I put here the opportunities for each board member to take greater responsibility for the performance of the APF in their particular region. Okay, and this is really the start of that here in Oceania. So how, as the board member, I don't have the answers on what that perceived value is, but I'm more than happy to coordinate or facilitate the existing membership to utilise the current skills of members to help to build greater value, not only for existing members, but also attracting and growing the APF. Okay. So the first step in that was really to understand, well, what do Oceania members want? So reaching out to both current and lapsed members and as I said, today is quite pivotal in that. And then coming out of today, it's really about analysing the responses to those questions that I posed before, developing some findings, and then presenting back to you, the members in this region, and then also presenting back the findings to the board. So this is what members in our region are saying they want. This is what they currently get, but they don't get value out of X, Y, Z. They'd like more of A, B, C, whatever it may be. So understanding what members want. Step two, I said, was then perhaps engaging some local members to create a regional working group or advisory group to actually help develop some effective responses to whatever the wants and needs articulated by the members are. So asking the members what they want, analysing their responses, and then perhaps forming a small working group to say, well, what are some effective responses here that satisfy the members? Then developing a 12-month action plan for the next fiscal year that incorporates or seeks to deliver upon those stated wants and needs, and then presenting that plan to you, the Oceania members, and then also back to the board. So that would, these are just random topics on the left that I've just thrown out here to kind of conceptualize what that plan could look like. So an Oceania activation plan, if you'd like, for APF members based on this is what the members said they wanted. Okay. And whatever, so those titles down the left-hand side, that is an empty, that is an empty space at the moment. And that's what we're hoping to fill in. And then I think out of that, you could also then start to establish and report on success metrics. So for me, these are all, again, just conceptual numbers, but it's about giving the board members accountability for their role. So they're really kind of helping to oversee the success of their particular region. And if it is, if we are successful in this region, I'd love to see this whole process, replicated. And the aim of the board is to replicate that around the globe. Okay. So again, there's just some conceptual metrics based on that activation plan there. As I said, to establish if it is successful, this could be then transferred around the globe. That's fine. And as part of this, people, if this is what people wanted, then given the huge geography of this region, there's the opportunity to establish, local networks or local chapters, etc., throughout the region. Okay. So in summary, for me, it was a bottom-up approach or a regional approach to driving sustainable membership growth. For me, the positives are that the process is designed to improve regional presence, and by that activity, I think, being a board member over the past 12 months, where I was an interim board member, you become acutely aware of the time difference, and that a lot of events put on by the APF are really at unreasonable time. So it's about how do we have a greater regional presence here? How do we deliver greater regional value that is specific to the member wants and needs in this particular region? As I said, it also puts the onus on board members to become much more active. It introduces greater accountability via clear metrics. And also, I think what it does, it encourages greater local participation from members. So that's kind of a summary of what I'm looking to. That's what I presented to the board. And as I said, I have no preconceived ideas of what any of the answers are. My whole job here is to ask people, what would you like that would deliver greater value? What do you see as some of the hurdles at the moment, whatever they may be? So before Jocelyn takes over, and before we break into breakout rooms, and we might only need two, or Jocelyn, we could stay here as one group if we've only got 9, 10 people. But if anyone has any comments on what I've just gone through, now, why don't we start by having that? Any comments? Agree, disagree, whatever, if they can add to it. Marcus?
I think there's been a bit of commentary, from Marcus. There's been a bit of commentary from Marcus and myself and others in the comments section. Marcus, you
Okay.
raised a good point about Launceston. There's actually Katie Cooper, who's another Australian futurist in Hobart. So, given Tasmania is a small population centre, you possibly could think about Tasmania chapter for the sake of a smaller state where you're trying to sort of group the population together. So, it could be something to consider.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think yeah, and I think that's one of the things that would be interesting to foster. Australia's got a very proud and kind of rich history in foresight, and it was certainly very strong coming out of the Australian Institute, sorry, the Foresight Institute. Um, and I think it's about kind of harnessing those networks. But anyway, Jocelyn, did you want to have a chat? What do you think, Jocelyn? You want to break into maybe two breakout rooms?
Yeah, depends on if you guys would like to discuss it together or if you would like to have it in a breakout room, that's also good. Raise of hand if you want to stay here together.
Look, it might be well, what's that one? Okay, well let's do two groups of six. How's that?
Okay.
So maybe just put James and I in separate room. In fact, I'll go with Marcus. We'll team up and we'll take one breakout room, and perhaps Cheryl and James, if you
James,
want to
okay.
take the other group, and yeah, just have a general chat. We've got, it's only 20 past it. We've got 25 minutes if you like.
Yeah.
The questions should be there. So Jocelyn, do you want to show us how
Yes.
it all works? So Jocelyn, for those that don't know, is the project manager at the APF. She's based over in the Netherlands. So over to you, Jocelyn.
So we are in the chat, you will have the link to this mural board. So basically what we are going to use is this mainly the group 1 and group 2 space. When you're in the breakout room, you will see which group you're in, number 1, breakout room number 1 or number 2, and then you can go to the respective space in here. In order to comment into each question, all you need to do is drag this little card from on the side into the question. And to type into the little note, double click the note, and then you can type in your comments in here. But there's also another way. If you run down the post-it on the side, you double click on the post-it or you copy paste, and then you will have more post-it on here in the space. And if any questions, I will be me and PJ. PJ is also here in the chat as Peter. He's also going to be in the one of the room. If you have any questions, we will be able to help you in the room itself.
Sounds
So, any
pretty
question
good.
at the moment? If not, I'm going to send everybody in.
So just fill in the post-its that for the group that you're allocated. You'll actually be able to see what the other group's posting, but you won't be able to hear them. And then at the end, we might just share our kind of general thoughts, if you like. So
So
you'll
do you
put
want
us
us
in
to
the
click on that link and send the chat, or are we going to get sent?
Jocelyn?
You are going to get sent into the room now if you
No,
do.
what about the link? What link did they click on?
There was a link in the chat. Do we click on that, or do we just wait to get us on? Sorry.
You mean for the mural board? The mural board is in the chat, the link on the chat. So you can just click into the link and then you, without registration, log in and you'll be in the room or in the...
Now, there's two links there at the very top. Is it the second link, isn't it, Jocelyn? Is that right?
No, Steve, because you were in the room a lot longer for the rest of the attendance, so you see more links, but then the rest of them would
I got it. Yeah, got it. Down the
see,
very bottom.
yeah.
Got it. Thank you.
So
Okay.
please go to the mural link that was recent, the last message on the chat. I'm going to assign everybody in rooms now. Sorry, Marcus and Steve will be in one room, and James and Cheryl will be one room. Okay, so 6 and 5.
most people in the room.
Who wants to be the lemming?
You can
Dominic.
start
Hold on.
Chunyin, considering you're
Yeah.
already starting Chunyin, so maybe you start off.
Would that me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, hi everyone. I'm joining you from Ngunnawal country, so I'm based here in Canberra. I work at a company called ThinkPlace. So we are a global public good design firm. So we're all about using human-centered design, systems thinking, and design thinking more broadly to create impact for the communities that we work in. And my role within the organization, I look after our strategy, foresight, and futures team. So I do a lot of work looking at how we can both invent and innovate on foresight. So bringing in that sort of community engagement, high standard community engagement, high standard stakeholder engagement, and the design lens to it. But also looking because we do a lot of work with the Australian government and the Australian public sector, looking at ways that we can support the public sector here in Australia writ large to build up their futures and foresight capability. So really excited to meet you all. And I think I made a comment in the main group to say it's really exciting to be able to actually just connect with people across the region, because I feel like there's a lot of work that goes on in the Asia Pac.
I'll make it very simple from my end. I mean, I'm enjoying the networking. I often feel isolated, and I think it'd be fantastic opportunity to have regular networking. And that's one of the reasons I think I'd like to be part of this organisation, which I've recently joined. I want to feel part of a community, and the online seminars make sense. The regular online seminars to learn about more macro issues and learn the work of other futurists and how they provide opportunities for what we do. The conference makes sense, no problems with that. I'd like to be able to contribute and add value somewhere along the line. So a conduit for that, to be able to have some sort of input into something that's bigger than what I'm doing. And I'd like the organisation to have that conduit and input into a greater cause. And that's my 2 minutes worth. James.
Well, maybe we just give some time, maybe 4 minutes, 4 more minutes or so, just for people to write their ideas down in the boxes, and then afterwards we'll verbally communicate what we've written down. So I've got the timer on. It's about 4 more minutes to go. So I'll tell you when the time's up.
And Paul, you should be able to write some of your ideas too in the chat.
Or
And look, at this point,
muted.
you're on mute, Paul. Just try again.
Hello. Hi. Sorry, can't quite see you.
Yeah, hi. Sorry, this is Brad Carr. Sorry, I'm in in an Uber on my way home from the airport, which is why I missed the first half of the meeting, and I'm just joining now.
Okay, no problem at all. They are in the breakout room discussing some questions, and if you would like, I could send you in the room, but I'm not sure if you'll be able to type because they're all in a mural board, but you'll feel free to also just discuss it because right now they're just discussing someone sharing the opinions and then someone is jotting down the thoughts. So if you would like, I would send you into one of the breakout room for the discussion.
Sure, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
I think if you accept the Welcome back, everybody. It's dimension traveling. It's very dimension traveling when it comes to Zoom.
Where's Alternate? She was just finishing up. Alternate. Sorry, we're just finishing up with question 4. And yeah, you were basically in agreement. You liked some of the Marcus's points about the collective consulting. You're just on mute there.
Sorry, I was just adding being intentional about that approach because just that leg alone requires how do I say it? An international campaign to attract specific sectors based off of projects that we would want to work on together, and how working on that project builds value for all the actors and all the stakeholders in terms of benefit is what I was adding to that.
Okay. And just to finish off there, so Joe, so the question for question 4 was, how can the APF best contribute to building foresight capacity in this region? Did you have final thoughts there?
I'm quite excited by what Marcus and Alternate are saying in terms of that kind of being a go-to voice for what is essentially problem solving. And I think we've been in the midst of local government elections recently where there's a lot of talk about the political cycle defining our ability to solve problems. And we all know that you can extend, your kind of solutions, the period in which you create. Sorry, I think I've reached peak tired.
That's all right.
I think you know what I'm saying. Being a voice of reason and being a solutions-focused voice within that context as well.
Good. Look, in the interest of time, then I might ask James, are you able to perhaps give a summary? Can we able to get that on the screen, Jocelyn? The outputs from group 1. And James, are you able to perhaps talk through? We've got about 5 or so minutes. Just what some of the key themes were, and perhaps some of the people that were behind some of those ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I think we looked at a lot. I think as similar to group 2, the need for networking conferences and seminars, and the ability to have a platform to collaborate on a regular basis. That was a common theme that came up. I think Paul, you were cut off as you were finishing up, but you're saying how being in Rome suddenly gives you access to a time zone much more suitable to access conferences and events. And this is something that a lot of us on this side of the world struggle with, because it's hard to go to online events that are at 3 a.m. And Chunyin, you are obviously quite emphatic about that, and so am I. I think this is a big problem we have on this side of the world. So I think one of the great things about the Oceania network is we're all in a similar time zone, and that's something we really should leverage. We also talked about exploring how do we embed futures and foresight into governments, for example, governments at all levels, so federal, state and or local, and seeing how we could potentially do a bit of advocacy work and trying to build foresight capabilities within governments at a federal, state and local level. Cheryl and I also had a bit of conversation around feminist futures and Indigenous futures, and I think Indigenous futures in particular is something we really should see as a strong point in the Oceania future space, given that we have our Maori, Indigenous futures community over in New Zealand, and here in Australia, I assume, although I haven't had much exposure to, but I assume there's a big Aboriginal and First Nations futures community here as well. So I'll be interested in exploring that a bit more. Cheryl, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No. Go on.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. I might also just mention as well, publications. If we could potentially have an opportunity to publish, whether that be a quarterly online journal or a formal peer-reviewed journal or a blog, or some way to try and communicate thought pieces with regard to future studies could be quite useful, and just a good way to really promote good food for thought in the Oceania region with regard to futures.
That's good stuff. Oh, that's very good. So, well done to you. Group 2, where are we? I think I'll try and provide a summary here. So, in terms of question 1, and now after each question, I'll ask members of Group 2 if they want to add anything, if I've missed anything. So, what were some of the key themes that came out of what we hope to get out of your membership? I think connection, so connection with peers, the opportunity to collaborate and learn from peers as well. Skills development was another key point that came up. Alternate, that was around, Alternate mentioned awareness of greater awareness of global issues. Is that right, Alternate?
Yes.
Yep. So awareness of global issues. And Marcus, one of the things I think, if I'm paraphrasing here, was about how to earn income or to gain clients. Yeah, right.
Yep, that's part of
it. That's anything else that could be more a part of it, a greater part of it, a better part of it,
better part of it. Yeah, it's that whole idea. If we are a professional association, then help us be professionals, and that means you're getting paid for the work you do. I don't think it's the APF's job to get the work for us.
Yeah.
But if it was a conduit to enable people to come together to work, well, that's a good thing.
I think you've always nailed it there, haven't you? Help us to be professional, and all the things that professional encompasses, which is skills and so forth. Okay, so in terms of activities that deliver value or do not. I like the comment was made here that is interesting, I think, for the APF to reflect on. It was made by someone who I think was a lapsed member, but they've come back, and they feel that in the interim that the APF seems like a very busy machine that is almost unaware of its other parts. And I think that was quite insightful. So for me, it was about do the basics well, and don't try and be everything to everyone type of organisation. You end up pleasing no one. So I thought that was quite a valuable point. It was commented here that the listserv was considered to be a good source or a great source of knowledge and provocation of ideas by some. On the flip side there, what provides least value was almost the lack of perhaps recognition about our regional challenges. And therefore we would like greater advance notice of long distance events, which for us are a lot of events. That was some of the key points there. Anyone else want to add anything there that I've missed in terms of activities that deliver or don't deliver great value?
I was just thinking about something that came up at work. People love the idea of futures. There's an optimism to it, and most of the people I meet in this community bring that kind of energy. We're the shifters and the shakers, the people who want things to be better. How we leverage that and how we present that, I think, is quite important.
That's good. Yeah, I agree. That there are people who say they love the idea, or there's a fascination, if you like, and there's a natural interest, intrigue, and it's about how do you leverage that? Okay.
Yep, I agree with
that. Which activities could the APF undertake to deliver greater value for you. I think, Joe, you mentioned that it'd be great to harness those insights from people. What's working overseas? What are people doing overseas, and what's working well? Antoinette touched on techniques, and I think that's interesting. It was I think you mentioned here, Antoinette, about getting different perspectives on how tools are being used. So it's not only skills development that is in a linear way, but what are the multiple ways that people are using or doing environmental scanning, or indeed undertaking scenarios in different just different forums and different ways of developing scenarios, etc. So understanding that there are different perspectives on how tools and techniques are used. Antoinette also touched on role playing. What was your point there, Antoinette? What was your point there with role playing, Antoinette, please?
I think that, and I was visioning the simple conversations. If we're speaking of expanding the brand of APF, then when we speak to those that are not futurists or practitioners, having a language that a 5-year-old can understand, even complex mapping, and making it simple. Even as I use the tools, I often, if I map something, then I walk away from it and look at it early in the morning and see, does it still make sense to me? Or do I have to go back through the logic to say, oh, what did I really mean to say with this? And that, role playing, the simple conversations that really explain complex connections.
Good. That's good. And so we're talking about question 3. What activities could the APF undertake? Sorry, before I go on, James.
I just want to echo Antoinette's remarks. Communicating futures is a very difficult thing to do. And as we've alluded to already, a lot of people like the idea of futures, but when you try and then delve into it in a systematic way and a methodologically rigorous way, people get scared and confused. So the communications piece, I think, is a common theme that's come up here. And how do we overcome that issue to help bolster the presence of futures in Oceania?
Good. That's good. Thank you. And then just to finish off part 3, Marcus touched on skills development. He raised the idea of increasing or improving brand presence. So the vision he almost painted there was, how could the APF be known as, the contact agency, if you like, for problem solving, if you like. So the brand becomes known as this expertise in the field of futures, and it's the media's go-to, if you like. And so then that led on to the concept of collective consulting. And why does collective consulting arise? Because people are aware of the brand, so brand awareness comes first. Reputation and brand awareness then leads to kind of opportunities for multiple futurists to kind of work together, multiple futurists who are members of the APF. So the APF has the brand, carries something of prestige for practicing futurists. So I think that was right, Marcus. And then the answers to question 3 really provided the platform for question 4, which was around, as I said, the APF becoming the go-to person or the voice of reason in the field of foresight, futures / problem solving. That ultimately then leads to income opportunities. And I think, as Marcus said, help us to be professional. And professional means you're making an income from your profession. So, look, so I think that's it for now. It's now 9 o'clock here in Australia, so I'll wrap up very quickly. If I'll share my screen, summary. Okay, I'll share my screen here, and then I'll ask Jocelyn to finish up if you can. Okay, so next steps should be on the screen. Can people see that? Next steps? Yep. So is to really to analyze the responses and then present back to the members and the board over the next 6 weeks. So with these responses, we've also sent out a survey with the same 4 questions. And so hopefully we get some quality responses in terms of numbers that we can actually start to then develop our findings. I've been working with James, I've spoken to Joe and even Cheryl recently about just helping to create a regional working group that then, based on the responses or the findings from asking members what they want, how can we then start to develop what are effective responses, and then putting in place an activation plan to say, well, this is, and it goes to the point that was raised in our group about how do you perhaps increase regional events in this region, but also how do you have that kind of calendar so people know what's going to be on in Germany, in next March or whatever it may be, so people can start to plan ahead, which is particularly important for our region. So to develop that activation plan, if you like, then present that plan to the members, hopefully for approval, also from the board for the next 12 months in this region. So that's kind of the next steps. I was probably hoping for a few more attendees tonight, but nevertheless, I'm really happy with the quality of responses that have been received in such a short time from this group. So I really appreciate the time that everyone's given up to participate. I really appreciate that. As I said, I come to this energized, and I can feel the energy of others. And I think energy, Mark, as you touched on, energy is crucial because people get excited about an idea, but it's the energy that will implement the ideas. So I think it's an exciting venture that we're going on. So I appreciate your input at the very start of it. As I also say, I have no preconceived ideas about what it looks like. And so the insights tonight were very valuable. Thank you. Over to you, Jocelyn.
Thank you very much for everyone's insights, and we are going to do wrapped up after the event, so everybody will get a copy of what has been discussed and the presentation itself and what is coming next. But I have a big favor to ask everybody before you head to bed right now. If your Zoom have a function to the video, and you could actually get a video filter for your picture. And if you like, I would like to get a fun picture of everybody before we head to bed, and I could get a very nice pose for everybody for participating.
So how do we do that,
open
Jocelyn?
house.
What do we need to do?
If you go to your video, your camera function, and there's a tiny little triangle, and you click it up and choose video filter and go to the background and effect.
Right.
And you can choose whichever you like. And I would love to have a lovely picture of everybody for the festivity, and also to capture up the energy that Steve would like to have. To remember this moment.
I've got no idea what I'm doing here. So go to video.
Yes, go to the...
So next to the camera icon, the tiny little
Yeah,
arrow,
like a tiny little arrow pointing up.
Yeah. And then
you go
to
video filter.
Choose video filter, you're saying?
Yes, video filter.
Okay.
And then you can choose one of the filters that you would like. So while Steve was having fun with it, so everyone please have fun to see which one you would like to have. I'm too early for the pizza, but I kind of like it.
Marcus, those glasses look amazing. I haven't got that feature.
And Paul's an angel. He's got the halo above him.
All right.
It's good for Rome.
All right, I'm going to do a screenshot. Everybody say cheese.
Cheese. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here so late in the evening. I wish you a lovely, lovely evening, and we will keep in touch. And with all information concerning the Discord, there was a little bit of error, but I will send out a new updated link so everybody can get into the Discord. And if you have Any question afterwards, don't worry. You can email me directly. My email is jocelyn@apf.org. I'll send it along with the email. So if you have any other comments, Steve?
Well, the only thing I'll say is, look, I'll summarize tonight's output. I'll then email it to each of you as a collective and say, where, are we able to clarify this or etc. So at least then I know I'm working with an accurate impression of what was said tonight. But once again, really appreciate people's time and your input. So thank you so much, and have a great evening, everyone. Cheers.